Well, good evening, everyone. We will go ahead and get started. We'd like to welcome you this evening, and we appreciate your attendance. My name is Alan Long. I'm the Executive Director of High Hopes. I will be moderating this evening. What that means for you is essentially I'll be watching the chat that's off to the side, and if you don't want to ask the question directly to our presenter this evening, those questions that come through chat sometimes are very important. So I'll make sure that our presenter is aware of those and be able to answer some of those questions for us. High Hopes recently has been taking a lot of steps to improve our safety and security, and we're excited to share about some of that this evening. But we also at the same time knew that we had an opportunity to partner with our parents and tell you a little bit more about what that looks like in the unfortunate event of an intruder. So we'll be talking about that this evening. Again, Lindsey Smith, our Director of Education, is going to introduce our speaker this evening. And at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Lindsey.
Hey, everybody. Appreciate y'all coming to our little webinar. I want to introduce Matt Wilson, who has facilitated a lot of our training with our teachers. Like Alan said, he's provided some recommendations and things to improve our safety. And so we're really grateful that he's willing to do this tonight. He is the president and owner of Special Operations Contingent Group and a long-serving military man, as well as I think an EMT is, if I'm not mistaken. So a lot of experience, and I think that he'll give a great amount of information tonight that I think will be really helpful. So from here, I'm going to let Mr. Wilson take it away.
Thank you, Lindsey. Again, my name's Matt Wilson, owner and president of Special Operations Contingent Group. We started this venture with High Hopes with Alan and his staff probably about 6 months ago. Started off as a client-based venture, but quickly grew into a peer-to-peer collaborative venture. And so we've given a lot of input on the safety and security of the schools through basically a questionnaire, assessments, both interior, exterior, and also emergency action plans, and also our training, which we have right now, which previously we gave to the teachers, which we're going to turn around and give to you tonight. So it's very much been a learning experience, both on High Hope side and also with SOCG on our side too, working with you. So if you have any questions whatsoever, you can put it through the chat, which Alan and Lindsey are going to go ahead and moderate. If you do have something you want to say, please go ahead and feel free to speak up. It's very interactive. I can stop at any time where I'm at because I have the PowerPoint slide. I see my bullet points. I go directly to that. So whatever questions you may have or stories, anecdotes, or anything else could be vitally important, and we'd like to get that out there. One thing is important. I cannot see you. I can only see the screen. So Alan will go ahead and let me know if there is a question out there. So, yes, Alan, did you have something?
Nope, I said yes, sir. I will do that.
Great. So before we get started, does anybody have any questions or anything they want to throw out there before we start?
Matt, I think you're going to, it's not a question, but it's a reminder. You tend to use SOCG a lot, and I think that's going to throw some people for a loop. What is SOCG?
Okay, so SOCG is just it's a shortened version of saying Special Operations Contingent Group, which is, as you see in front of you on that logo, which is my company. So it's basically, it's based off of my 26 plus years in the special operations community. So based off of 75th Ranger Regiment, Special Forces, and Delta Force. So a lot of that, we've taken that security side and put it into the school side. So anything from fortifying a embassy or a forward operating base overseas, we use that same type of security-based protocols for schools. And it's, according, with what we've been doing, Alan has really, fortified the school, like the windows, the doors, and everything else. They have that ballistic proof film that's on there, the cameras, the doors, the locks. He's really made a lot of improvements on those schools with that. So you will hear me saying every now and then SOC group or SOCG, which is Special Operations Contingent Group. So
Thank you, Matt.
anything else on that before we begin? Okay, so I'm going to jump into this right now. So tonight we're going to be going over intruder response training for parents. Okay. I'm going to throw a disclaimer out there for everybody. Again, the information provided in this active shooter class is for educational purposes only. It is intended to be a substitute for law enforcement and or first responder advice, tactics, or procedures. So we're going to be covering tonight basically the protocols that you're going to possibly see if in case there is an intruder or active shooter event at High Hopes. Okay. So again, critical locations. Okay, so the importance of knowing critical locations. What are they? They are basically it's known points that you will see anything from police departments, hospitals, anything else like that. Those are known critical locations. Okay, things we need to know about the critical locations. Distance and time. How long will it take for the Williamson County Sheriff's Department or Franklin Police Department to get from point A to point B? Okay, that's something that's important to know. Identify any potential obstacles or hazards along the way. That's, again, that's where it's important that their dispatch is talking to them, looking at the roads, getting them there as fast as possible. And also understanding what to expect and what to do when encountering personnel and their protocols, which is the law enforcement, EMS, fire department, or any other agencies that might be there. And this is what we're going to be focusing on tonight. So as you can see, first critical location we're looking at right now is the Williamson County Sheriff's Department. Okay, so if we look at it, this is just one of the routes they may take. Okay, so you're looking at maybe an average of about 15 minutes. That's moderate traffic. I just pulled that up. That shows you kind of an idea. There's depending on time of day, depends on the severity of the traffic. Okay. Franklin Police Department, you're looking at roughly about between 11, 12 minutes. Again, that's between light and moderate traffic. And so it's how fast will they get the word from the school to the dispatch, from the dispatch to the police department. We're looking at Franklin Fire Department. Okay, so they're quicker on response. So you're probably looking at under 8 minutes, 6, 7 minutes, moderate traffic. If it's heavier traffic, might be a little bit slower response time. Here we are, Williamson Medical Center. You're looking at roughly about 11 minutes. And again, that's light traffic from what I picked up on there. Heavier traffic, you're going to have a slower time. Okay, but this is also something that you can see that if anybody's outside, and they have to be moved from High Hopes to Williamson Medical. This gives you an idea of what the traffic, what the route's going to look like, what possible traffic you may run into, and what type of time it's going to take you for the time and distance. Now, again, let's go over the importance of knowing these locations. Okay, this gives you a better sense of distance and time it would take for the emergency services to reach your school or for you to reach them. This can help you estimate how long you need to wait for help or how quickly you need to act. This can also help you familiarize yourself with the routes and directions to these facilities and identify any potential hazards or obstacles along the way. Okay, this can help you plan the best and safest route to escape or evacuate in case of an emergency. You can learn about the protocols and procedures that these facilities follow in case of a disaster, such as lockdowns, triage, or communication failure. This can help you understand what to expect and also what to do when you encounter them. Okay. Again, tonight, this is what we're going to be focusing on. Now, some of the definitions that we're going to throw out there. Active shooter. Okay. So the Department of Homeland Security, they've defined active shooter as an individual actively engaged in killing or attempting to kill people in a confined or populated area. An intruder, okay, is someone who enters a place without permission. We can also refer to someone who is in a place or situation where they are not wanted. Okay, intruders can enter a place without permission in order to commit a crime. Okay, so this, I don't expect you guys to remember, and when I say guys, I'm sorry, it's just something carries over from military and everything else. I don't expect everybody to memorize this. This is more of an informational for you to understand. If you hear this description of a hot zone, warm zone, or cold zone, it gives you an idea of what they're talking about, and it's more food for thought. So that way, as you see events unfold in front of you, you now have a better idea of what is going on. So again, this is more informational. This is more to give you more sense of what's happening in front of you. Okay. So the hot zone is an area where there is known hazard or direct or immediate life threat. Okay. This includes any uncontrolled area where the active shooter could directly engage people. The warm zone, this is the perimeter immediately around the hot zone, is the area where law enforcement has either cleared or isolated the threat and the risk is minimal or has been mitigated. And then the cold zone is the area beyond that perimeter where there is no known threat. It is where additional medical transport resources may be staged. So wherever that active shooter is, that is considered the hot zone. Anything just outside that is the warm zone. And then outside the building would be the cold zone. Okay, phases of an active shooter intruder. Okay, phase one, the active shooter, the intruder is identified and or shots heard. Phase two is moving to the entry point and or staging prior to the entry. This would be your law enforcement, your medical teams getting ready to enter the building. Phase three is departure of the building. That means they've went in, they've neutralized the threat, and they're now coming out. Okay, phase one, intruder, active shooter. Okay, this is where identified or shots are being heard right now. So the first thing that's going to happen is once High Hopes makes that phone call, alarm goes out, the dispatch is alerted, and first responders are deployed. Okay, the school will then go into a lockdown protocol. Now, what happens when law enforcement officers or LEOs, as I will refer to them from here, or first responders arrive? Okay, there's going to be several actions that will take place as each department is unique to itself and what time they'll arrive. So Leo's job, law enforcement officer, is an active shooter intruder event is to respond quickly and neutralize the threat immediately. That is their main job, to go directly to the immediate threat. When law enforcement arrive to an active shooter intruder event, they will be arriving on scene with a variety of vehicles, weapons, okay? And the weapons could be anything from a shotgun, pistol, rifle. They may also have non-lethal, which could be, their tasers, pepper spray, anything of that. They may even have shields, okay? From there, their uniforms may include body armor, body cams, plain clothes, uniformed personnel, and this also may include a K-9 unit. Okay, so these are certain things. These are things that you will see unfold in front of you as an active shooter event or an intruder is happening. Okay. Now, if when officers move directly to an entrance and encounter any injured personnel, they may bypass them to get to the active shooter scene immediately. Again, a law enforcement's job is to go directly to the immediate threat, because at that point, once they clear that injured person, okay, it could be an employee, it could be a teacher, it could be whoever that they pass by. Once they pass by that and they move towards the building, get ready to enter and everything else, they're now making that a warm zone. So a warm zone is where now your EMS, your fire, and everybody else can come up and treat that person, but it's got to be cleared first. Okay, first responders on the scene. The local Franklin Police Department or Williamson County Sheriff's Department may set up a security perimeter in which they will yell commands, tell people, or may in some cases physically move people away from the scene. Okay, now all this is done just to control the chaos, the crowd, and everything else outside the event, because now they're dealing with internal, movements, internal intruders, and also the outside chaos. So they have got to control everything around them in order to make informative decisions. Okay. Now, officers will establish chain of command, including fire department, medical services, and possibly other government agencies. And this could be the FBI, whoever else that is around that may get involved. This commander or first arrival will be known as the interim incident commander or interim on-scene commander. Now, again, I don't expect you to know this stuff or anything. This is just to inform you, to give you an idea of what possibly you may possibly hear or you may see. Okay. Dispatch will try to remain on the phone with the school staff. This is to help gain information on the individual or individuals in or the event inside. Now, the interim incident commander or the interim on-scene commander may try to establish or take over the communications from dispatch to speak directly with the caller from inside the school. Okay. Now, the law enforcement officer will work within the hot zone and move between the two other zones as needed. Now, remember, this is just to give you an idea of what will be unfolding in front of you. Okay. So this isn't, this may or may not happen, as I'm reading this off. This may happen at various points, but this is just to give you an idea of what will be unfolding in front of you. Do I have any questions yet? Okay. Now, what happens when the fire department and emergency medical services arrive? Okay, during an active shooter event, the fire department EMS's role is to provide medical assistance to the victims. The fire department will act as a blockade to keep control of the flow of vehicles and people from flooding the scene. Okay, so you will see those trucks. You may see those fire trucks on the highway, like if there's a car accident or something else, those fire trucks will come in, they'll block off oncoming and both ends of the traffic. So you may see that also with those fire department trucks coming in and blocking the entrance and exits. So that way it controls who's coming in, who's going. Now, they may set up an exterior casualty collection point, which is known as a CCP. CCP. This is used prior to and in conjunction with the interior casualty collection point once it is established. Okay. Now, the CCP that's a military term, but also a lot of military terms are now starting to cross over into the law enforcement and fire department and EMS. So the CCP, again, is one of those where they'll establish medical services for whoever's outside, or once they're finished, they start shuttling people from outside, from inside out. They'll go directly to that point to receive medical treatment. Okay, now their job is to stop the bleeding and care for the injured and wounded. Okay, the fire department and emergency medical services will work within the warm zone. So now we're breaking it down. Who's working into which zones? Now, we said the law enforcement, they mainly work in the hot zone, but they can cross over into the warm and cold zone. Okay, and fire department, emergency medical, they work within the warm zone. Now, what should you do when the fire department and EMS arrive? Okay. One is extremely important, stay out of their way as they are dealing with multiple agencies. Okay. And also possibly calls from the inside and establishing a command center. Okay. All this is important to ensure the safety of the people, not only on the inside, but also on the outside. Okay. Now, is there any information that you can provide and how? Okay. Again, this is also what we use in the military, the 5 W's: who, what, when, where, why. Okay. Who did you see, and was it one or more individuals? What did you see? What were they wearing? What did they look like? And what were they carrying? Now, where did you last see them? Give cardinal directions or landmarks. Now, I say cardinal directions, that's, general north, general south, east, west. Okay. If you're not sure, on your phone, you have a compass. Most people do. So you can pull that out if you have to, give as much information to the law enforcement, EMS, and fire department as much as possible. Also, when did it take place? Okay. If you can, give the time and also where it took place. Okay. Why, if applicable? Was there a motive that happened or took place that initiated this? Any questions on the reporting system? Okay. Another way you can report this, report what you see, is what we call salute report. Okay. Again, this is another carryover from, a military acronym into the civilian and also first responder side. So salute report, again, it's giving the size. Okay. Now, when I say size, it could mean a couple different things. Is this a large build person or a small person? Was it, is it the size of, was it multiple shooters or intruders, or was it just singleton? Activity. What were they doing at the moment you saw the active shooter intruder happen? Okay. Were they getting out of their vehicle? Were they placing a bag on the ground? Any of that information will help them establish a start point and possibly give them a location or their route into the building. Location, where were they last seen? Uniform, what were they wearing? Were they wearing, camouflage fatigues? Were they wearing jeans? Was it it could be anything, whatever type of uniform that they're wearing, and that could be clothes, give that description. Time, at what time did you see them? Okay. Equipment, what type of weapons? Okay. Pistol, rifle, knife, backpack. Were they carrying it, or did they place it on the ground? Okay, what are some of the things that parents may think or experience during phase one? Now, this is tough because, again, you're on the outside, your child or loved one may be on the inside, and this is, again, this is where it can wreak havoc with your mind and body on this. Okay, because you have a lot of things going on from there. You got all the chaos happening on the outside, you have all the chaos going on the inside. Okay. Now, after being informed of an active shooter event at your school or location, it is important to understand the potential mental and physical impacts that may occur. Mental impact, you're going to have a range of emotions. It's going to be everything from nerves, rage, fear, confusion, frustration, you name it, you're probably going to experience it. Okay. Physical impact. Okay. It does have a physical impact on you. Mental is, I think, worse than physical, but mental does carry over into the body. Ranges of physical issues that may occur. Okay. Shortness of breath, hyperventilating, faintness, weakness, increased heart rate. You may feel sick. Okay. This is all part of what may happen during an active shooter event. Okay. Again, this is just information. This is to give you an idea of what may happen, what may take place, not only around you, but also what may, happen to you. There is going to be influencers. And yes, this is a very emotional event that's going to happen or taking place. Phase two, moving to the entry point and or staging prior to entry. Now, when I say moving to the entry point, that's going to be your law enforcement, and they may have medical with them also. Okay. So it's crucial to clearly understand what's happening outside during an event. This understanding can help parents process the situation better. And that's what we're doing tonight is to help you understand what is going on. And again, this is what we're dealing with, is all the protocols that may unfold in front of you. Okay. Couple things to keep in mind. One, try to make sense of the scene from outside perspective. And that's what we're doing. We're giving you information right now to help you make sense of the scene that's unfolding in front of you. Prepare yourself mentally for the conversations and actions that you'll need to engage in after the event, especially when talking to your children. Okay. You may find yourself going to a dark place. And what I mean by dark place is, your mind will start going to the what ifs. What if this? What if this? Okay. I've been there. I've not necessarily an active shooter, but with the military doing our raids and direct action missions. I mean, we go through the whole gamut of emotions also, going into this. Okay. So again, it's focusing on what will be more productive, which is more important. Okay. Instead of staying in that dark place and possibly having a meltdown, which could possibly happen. Think about what your children will need from you after the event. Okay. Especially what they're going through and then what you're going through. Okay, what is progressing outside? Again, approximately two types of action plans may unfold outside and may include a hybrid of the following. Okay. Now, again, pre-staging of officers and or SWAT or a mixture of both outside and entrance. Okay, that means they're moving to a door or an entry point to get into the school. Okay, you may see people in body armor with weapons, K9 units, people outside with shields and or other entry tools. You may see them trying to use those entry tools to get their way into the school. They may not have the key. Okay, the person with the key may be on the inside, so they may have to use violent action to get entry into that school. So these are things again that you may experience on there. Also, the SWAT police officers are also waiting on orders to go into, or they may have already been given the go to execute the entry and begin clearing the school facility. Now, the law enforcement may conduct a call out, okay, where there may be a hostage situation, and that starts going into a whole nother, uh, scenario, which the law enforcement will have their protocols for doing a call out for any kind of hostage situation. At this point, they may have law enforcement waiting as they negotiate the release of others. Okay. If any parents are outside, please do not gather at these points as you could be detained and escorted away from the area. And what I mean by detained, they may physically grab you and move you out of the way, not forcefully, but just move you out of the way. So that way they can go ahead and do the job that they're there for. That's go in, neutralize the intruder, and bring everybody out that they possibly can safely and securely. Okay. Any questions so far on this? Anybody have anything they want to add? No? Okay. Now, entry to the school or facility. Now, several things may be encountered by first responders, law enforcement, and also fire department personnel upon entry. Okay. They may, now again, dry hold. They may come in and hit a dry hold. What this means is as they make entry into a room or hallway, they may not encounter any children or employees or even encounter the active shooter within that hall or room. Okay, so that is a dry hold. Injured. The entry team may encounter children or employees within the hall or the room. Okay, now these children or employees may or may not be injured. Okay. Now the injured could be stopped and questioned. Okay. What that again, the law enforcement is there for to go to the immediate active shooter area. Okay, to the hot zone. They're there to neutralize that so that way that horrible person can't do any more harm to the employees, children, or anybody else within that building. Now, the entry team leader should call this into the command center because that's giving them more information and also letting them know that, they may be sending someone to that exit point to go ahead and be moved to the CCP. Okay. The first responder or LEO may most likely bypass injured personnel as their priority is the active shooter. Okay. They're not being callous. It hurts them just as much as anything else, but their main job is to go after that active shooter or the intruder. Okay. But they may get called in for, calling the fire department or EMS to follow up behind the entry team as they move towards a hot zone. Everything behind them is now being considered the warm zone. Okay. Which allows other personnel to come in to attend to the fallen, okay, or injured. Now, what you may see after the neutralizing of the active shooter from the authorities at the scene, okay, you may see the entry team or assault team exit in a moving corridor with students between them. Okay, now, what this is you may see, and again, it all depends on what that unit or, Williamson County, Franklin, or whoever it is, whatever their standard operating procedure is. Okay, it may not be a running corridor. What that corridor is where you'll have law enforcement, EMS, or fire department on either side with the students or employees or anybody else in the middle to shield them as they move them to reunification point. Okay. Again, faculty and students will be moved to a reunification point to be examined. This is done to ensure that there are no unassessed injuries or medical emergencies that need to be attended to. Okay. After the building is clear of all students and faculty, the assault team will move to their commander for debriefing. Okay, so you may see everybody once they move everybody out, the building is secured and cleared. That team will move to their commander. It could be to their vehicles. It could be to some area where they're going to go to. All right. You may see them de-kit, taking off their body armor, kitting, taking their kit off, putting in bags or whatever else, and debriefing their commander. Okay. Now, what may follow is the commander will hold a news brief after these events have occurred. And also the commander may be open to questions. However, it's likely that the commander will simply make a statement, hold all questions until more information is gathered. Okay. And then the final step is the collapse of the security perimeter. Any questions on what we covered so far? Okay.
Matt, I think this is a good point to throw in there, that the point of reunification for High Hopes, this is in the parent handbook, but that's not something we're going to be thinking about in a moment like this. It is right next door, our neighbors at Pinnacle Financial. That is probably the best place for a lot of our families in an unfortunate event like this to go, is right over there at Pinnacle.
And that's a good point to bring up, Alan. So that way, again, it gives the parents an idea where to wait to receive, their children and their loved ones once the event is over and once they are released to their parents. That is a good point to bring up. So again, the information you have will help you through a situation like this. So the more informed you are, the more information you have, the more clear you're going to be able to think and be able to act instead of reacting to everything. Because once you react to something, you're playing catch up the whole time. But once you have information like this, it gives you more information to be able to be proactive into what's coming next. What steps do you need to take to better help not only stay out of the way, but also receive your children after this thing is done. What you may see after the neutralizing the active shooter from the authorities at the scene. Okay, while the events occurred during the post-assault period. Now, post-assault, that's another term that SWAT, law enforcement, and military use. That is after the whole event is done and they've moved back to their vehicles, they're taking the kid off and everything else. They are now in the post-assault. Everything is finished from there. Okay. Now, some of the things you may experience. Okay, you may be individual or maybe all these at the same time. You're going to see loud, and you're going to see a lot of sirens, a lot of lights. You're going to hear a lot of loud noises. You're going to hear a lot of yelling. And also, not only that, the media is going to be in everybody's face. They're going to be wanting to get pictures, video and everything else of what's going on. All this can really overwhelm your mind. It's a lot to take in. Okay. But if you go into this knowing that there's going to be a lot of things happening, you can start compartmentalizing a lot of these things and focus on what's most important. That is the children. Okay. Also, one may experience shock where the mind is numb and unresponsive stimuli. Okay. This may happen. You may shut down. I've seen it happen, over in Afghanistan. Where there's so much going on that you may have that one person that just shuts down, and it takes someone to come in, get a hold of them, say, hey, you're here, we're good, we've got you. And then, it kind of brings them back to, what is happening right now. And it's good. Again, knowing this right here gives you more training, more experience to be prepared for this. Okay. Now, after the scene collapses, parents will start seeing children being released to the parents and authorities pulling others aside if there are injuries or fatalities. That's the biggest thing is once the children are released, what happens? Now, again, any event like this is going to be very emotional for everybody, for the law enforcement, for parents, for teachers, for everything. Okay. So again, your emotions are going to be swinging back and forth, from one side to the other. Okay. You're going to be, scared. You're going to be mad. You're going to experience the whole gamut on there. Okay. Again, there's a range of emotional and physical potential side effects. Okay. As a parent, the following will give you an idea of the things you may experience. Okay. Now, this is both for the parents and the children. Okay. And again, this could be both immediate and delayed mental and physical impacts, okay, experienced by the parents and also the children. Euphoria, okay, you have your child back, the situation is done. Rage, who knows, somebody may have gotten hurt, okay, so you're mad at the fact that this person went in and conducted a heinous act. Fear, okay, not knowing what's happening, what's going to happen, or what's unfolding, okay. Frustration, confusion, nightmares, that's another thing, okay, is nightmares. Be prepared for that, because it's your body's way of dealing with the shock and everything you just saw, okay. You may experience flashbacks, okay, anxiety and behavior changes. So these are things to think about, to look for, and also, if anything, to check to make sure if any of these things happen, that that you can go and get help for this. Okay. Now, there's also the adrenaline crash, the crash after. Okay. You can experience any of the following symptoms of that. Okay. Now, the adrenaline, that's spike. Okay. Your adrenaline's going to be pumping. Once everything is done, you're going to come down, you're going to crash. Okay. Now, with that crash, it could be shaking, it could be nausea. You may feel like you want to vomit, okay, because you've been on this high for so long. Now, when you come down, it's your body's way of dealing with that adrenaline crash. You may experience shortness of breath, hyperventilating, okay. There could be weakness in the knees, standing, walking. You may want to just sit for this, okay. Faintness, you may feel faint. There could be sweating and shivering, okay? You may have mind fog, okay? Somebody may come up and talk to you. You may be confused, okay? So these are things that you may experience, okay? And of course, increased heart rate, okay? Now, for those of you that are older or may have potential medical concerns, these are something that you may want to seek out the emergency medical personnel and go to them. They may be able to help you with that. All right, now once everything is done, and after everything's said and done, don't be afraid to seek help. Okay, after a school shooting, it's important to seek help. Okay, the aftermath of such an event can be traumatic and may lead to grief, depression, addiction, PTSD, and having a wide-ranging negative impacts on quality of life. As a parent, compassion and support play a key role in your children's emotions. Okay, which can exhibit changes in behavior. Okay, please do not hesitate to seek help to deal with the stressors of an active shooter event. Okay, there's my information right there. I'll leave it up for a few minutes. Does anybody at this time have any questions? Alan, is there any questions in the chat?
No, there are no questions at this point, Matt.
Okay, so I will go ahead, and if everybody has that information there, I'll go ahead and stop presenting and let's see here. Just give me a second. Okay. Can you see me there? Okay, good.
Yep.
All right. So that, like I said, is everything in a nutshell for the event that may possibly unfold in front of you. Again, it's not a play-by-play book of what's going to happen. This is something that with all the shooter events that have happened, these are things that have been experienced both on the law enforcement side and also the student side and parent side, and also the employees and teachers side. So it's a collation of all this information for presenting to the parents, so that way they can be better informed and be able to understand what is unfolding in front of them. So, and that's, Alan, do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, Matt, I want to add a few things here. The events that have taken place recently, and some just so close to us, right up in Nashville this last spring, although they're unfortunate, it has afforded High Hopes the opportunity to be the recipient of several different grants that have allowed us to take further measures in securing our building. You had mentioned the ballistic window film. We've also changed a lot of locks. We've changed many of our protocols. It is not, it's typically not protocol to share what that is with the outside community. We know what those protocols look like internally, and that's where we keep that information. I think it's also important for parents to remember that we are required at least once a month to conduct a drill or to share specific information about our safety procedures and drills. So sometimes that's fire drill, sometimes that's severe weather. Recently, it has been a lot of information and drills around intruders. So I'm very pleased. You never know what it's going to be like until you get into a situation, but very pleased with our partnership with you and the measures that we've taken at High Hopes to do this better and to evaluate everything that we have in place. So thankful for that. And unless there's other questions from parents, I want to be mindful of time and thank everybody for being a part of this evening.
Yes, thank you, Alan. Thank you, Lindsey. Appreciate you having me on tonight and everything else. And my information was up there. If you ever need to get a hold of me, please feel free to reach out.
All right.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Matt.
everyone.
You got it.
Thank you for your
all.
time.
I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. You have a good night.
Good night.